Chapter 22, Playing the Part. Here we go, Daniel says as the town car pulls up outside the Roosevelt Hotel. You're on. We've just had dinner at Mr. Chow and are on our way into Brent Bolthouse's night at the Roosevelt, where Paris Hilton and Jessica Simpson are regulars, and the paparazzi wait outside knowing that they can make their week's worth of money on this one night. It's all part of Daniel and Nadine's plan to have me, quote, out there more. And while part of me loves the attention, this other part of me is exhausted by it. It's a full-time job keeping up the persona of party girl, I think, as the driver opens the door and helps me out. As we approach the throng of people gathered outside, the doorman Andrew lifts the velvet rope to let us through. Hey, Amelia, he says as I walk past, Daniel and John on my heels. I spent years introducing myself to Andrew, and he never gave me the time of day. Now I guess I can just waltz in. Having people know me now is, while wonderful, also surprisingly unnerving. It makes me feel like I'm constantly under observation. But I smile at him and smooth down my cleavage-revealing Thierry Mugler dress. As we walk toward the bar, I swear I see Adam across the room. A second glance reveals, of course, that it's not. It's been over 2 weeks since Adam and I talked when we were both in New York, and I haven't heard from him, which means that I keep thinking I see him wherever I go. I've been telling myself that there has to be a good reason why he hasn't reached out. I keep seeing promos for his show, so he's obviously overwhelmed. But I'm also torturing myself with the idea that he's fallen for the main girl on it, a former Miss Teen USA in her acting debut, and forgotten all about me. A connection, by its very definition, can't be one-sided, I keep thinking. Of course he's going to call. I know that I could call him, but I can't seem to bring myself to. When we get to the bar, Daniel asks me what I'd like. It's our first time out together, and I've been preparing for this question for many days. Rachel has said that I don't need to tell anyone why I don't drink, and that if somebody keeps asking, I can always just say I'm on antibiotics. Not that being on antibiotics ever stopped me from drinking before. Just tell him you're sober now, my mind says as I scan the bottles lined up in front of me. What's he going to do, take the column away? Instead, I ask for a cranberry and soda, and he just nods and orders that, along with vodka tonics for himself and John. I've been noticing lately that a lot of people just don't seem to think about alcohol all that much, and Daniel could be one of them. He probably thinks I'm just wild 24 hours a day, drunk or sober, I think. And I can't decide if that's something I should be horrified or relieved by. So what have you gotten up to lately? Daniel asks as we settle into a booth. John looks up from his drink expectantly, and I suddenly feel enormous pressure to be all that they think I am. Think of something, my mind says. Quick. I go over in my mind the past few days. Monday night, I went to a meeting at Pledges to meet Justin, but he didn't show. Tuesday, I played with my cats, obsessed over Adam, and read the Big Blue Sobriety book. Wednesday? I can't remember what I did on Wednesday, and I get momentarily excited, thinking I'll surely have an exciting story to share with them when I remember that I'd randomly flipped to this show on Animal Planet about polar bears and had become instantly riveted. I start to panic, thinking I'm going to disappoint them, when I remember the night I went to Guy's with Chad Milan and left with Rick Wilson. It's not like I'm making it up, I think. I'm just fudging the dates a tiny bit. Well, I say, I went out with a CAA agent the other night. Daniel nods politely but looks a little disappointed. And then I continue, I left with this random out-of-work actor I had a crush on when I was 16 years old. No, Daniel shrieks disbelievingly, suddenly wearing a huge smile. He glances at John and adds, "You naughty girl." Well, I was looking for a way to get out of having to kiss the agent guy goodnight, I say, shrugging, like I think a modern, sexually evolved woman would. Channel pre-humanitarian Angelina Jolie, I say to myself, as I continue to tell John and Daniel about making out with Rick in the car, leaving the message for Chad, and then being busted by him at the gym the next day. This is why she's so good, Daniel says to John as he sips his drink. She sees what she wants and goes after it, while the rest of us get mucked up in always trying to do the right thing. I nod and smile, thinking I am a total fraud. I can't stop thinking about Adam, and I don't do a damn thing about it. Yet I sit here and act like I'm some kind of warrior woman. I will Daniel and John to stop talking about me and then marvel at the fact that I'm even thinking such a thing. Suddenly, the music gets turned up louder. Daniel and John continue to talk, but because they're sitting next to each other and I'm across the table, I can't really hear them anymore. So I pretend to look like I'm completely wrapped up in the scene around me, while inside I'm thinking about how much I'd rather be in a bubble bath. Just then, the waitress stops at the table and deposits a tequila shot in front of me. She motions her head toward the bar, where Jeremy Berenbaum, a producer with a Sony deal, stands and smiles at me as he holds up his own tequila shot. I smile at him and look down at the shot. "From a fan?" Daniel asks, and I shrug. I glance down at the lime and salt the waitress is depositing on the table, and when I look up, Jeremy Berenbaum is standing right in front of me. "Party girl, would you do me the honor?" he asks, slurring his words slightly and holding out his shot. When I don't respond, he says, "Okay, fine. If you insist on doing body shots with me, I'll acquiesce." Years ago, I'd had a crush on Jeremy. Someone had pointed him out to me at one of the first Hollywood parties I went to, mentioning that he had produced these 2 movies I'd liked and had dated this actress on Melrose Place. I thought he was cute, but knew for a fact that if he were a plumber and not a successful producer, I wouldn't necessarily think so. Later that night, someone introduced me to him, and he spent the whole time we were talking glancing around, giving me the distinct feeling that he was simply killing time until someone more important or famous came along. Eventually, he excused himself to go talk to Rachel Hunter. After that, when we saw each other, we would do the Hollywood head nod that communicates, "I know we've met, but maybe one or both of us don't remember the other's name." And when someone started to introduce us at a premiere last year, I explained that we already knew each other while he held out his hand expectantly, like he'd never laid eyes on me before. I'd wondered at the time if he just walked around doing that Hollywood head nod to everyone, or if he was pretending not to know me as some kind of a power move. Was being introduced over and only occasionally acknowledging it a distinctly Hollywood tradition, or did this happen in other cities? "Here's to the best little wedding guest out there," he says now, clicking his shot glass against mine. I watched him pick up my salt and pour it on his hand, lick it, take the shot, and then reach down for a lime wedge and bite into it. The smell of tequila is so strong, I feel like I've practically ingested it myself. "What are you waiting for?" he asks, gesturing to my still full shot glass. I glance at Daniel and John, who are watching us with interest. After an awkward pause, I say, "Got sick on tequila in high school. Haven't been able to touch it since." At least the first part was true. "How about I do a shot of something else?" "Sure thing," Jeremy says. "I'll do another one with you." He motions the waitress over and she stands there expectantly. I say, wondering how the hell I'm going to get out of this. Then, buying time, I say to the waitress, "For some reason, I can't decide. Can I follow you to the bar so I can assess my options?" She shrugs and starts walking, so I gesture to Jeremy, Daniel, and John that I'll be right back before following her. Once we get to the bar, I remember how I'd drink from my parents' vodka and gin bottles in high school and fill them back up again with water. Why wouldn't the reverse of that work now? So I say to the waitress, "I know this sounds crazy, but can you give me 2 shot glasses and fill one with vodka and one with water?" She glances at me for a second, then nods. I swear, nothing is too bizarre for LA waitresses. She's probably thrilled I'm not asking about the caloric intake of Absolute versus Kettle One. "Can I charge him for 2 shots?" she asks. I nod, and she hands me the vodka and water shots. Oddly empowered by my water trick, I start to feel the party girl persona come over me, the same way it did when I went on TV. Confidence and a sort of brazenness flood through me as I make my way back to Jeremy, swaying my body back and forth to the Jay-Z song that's now blasting through the speakers. I reach the table, where Jeremy, Daniel, and John are now chatting, and I hand Jeremy his shot. "Here's to running into each other," I say, in an attempt to figure out if he realizes I'm the same girl he's been introduced to before, or if he even cares. "And to our continued relationship," Jeremy grins, clinking his glass with mine. He downs his shot as I chug my shot of water, crinkling my nose as if it were vodka. I swear, I should win an Oscar for this. After Jeremy slams his glass down, he takes out his cell phone. "We should go out this week," he says. "What are your digits?" I give him my number, wondering why it's him and not Adam wanting to go out with me this week. Be excited, I tell myself. Daniel and John are watching, and this would have been an entirely thrilling prospect at one point. Just then, a song I like comes on, and these two girls wearing bright tube tops and roughly inch-long jean skirts jump up on the bar to dance. "Hey, party girl, you should be the one up there," Jeremy shrieks exuberantly. Daniel smiles and John nods. I shake my head and think I am way too old and way too sober for this, just as Jeremy starts chanting, "Party girl," over and over. Daniel and John join in the chant, and the next thing I know, Jeremy is grabbing me by my waist and trying to hoist me over his shoulder onto the bar. When I notice his friends, two agent types, walking in our direction, I realize it's too late to turn back now. So I accept a bartender's hand as he helps me to my feet on the bar, and I feel all 80 or so people in the club staring at me. Trying to act like this is perfectly normal, I turn toward the two tube-top girls and start dancing. I'm a good dancer. I don't flail my arms around, nor do I just stand there and step back and forth self-consciously. Still, it can take me a few minutes to find my groove, especially without a buzz. Right now, I have no alcohol and no crowd to surround me, just two girls whose ages together probably don't add up to mine. I suddenly remember once trying to join a hopscotch game when I was little and being shut out. Please let them acknowledge me, I think, as I face the girls and dance while trying to project calm confidence. And please don't let Adam be here, I add to my prayer. One of the tube-top girls looks at me and grins. "Look, it's the real-life Carrie Bradshaw," she says, as she juts her body back and forth in what looks like a succession of hip-hop dance class moves. "Cool," her friend says, less impressed or perhaps completely indifferent. I can't tell which and don't really care. I'm just grateful that the first girl moves past her friend to start dancing with me. "Yes," Jeremy yells from down below, and I notice Daniel moving in his seat and John clapping. It all starts to seem kind of amusing, and I find myself swiveling my hips into tube top as she swivels hers back into mine. Someone turns the music up even louder as tube top moves in closer to me. The next thing I know, we're full on dirty dancing, and she must be the one in the Patrick Swayze role because she starts moving forward into me, and I have no choice but to move back as we sort of grind our hips into one another. While I still don't think I have a lesbian bone in my body, truth or dare kiss be damned, something about dancing on the bar at the Roosevelt with this girl feels oddly exciting. It's less about being turned on and more about letting myself go. I surrender to the music and manage to almost forget where I am. This is why I like doing drugs, I think, as Tube Top and I swivel and gyrate. They gave me a break from this busy head of mine. The self-consciousness that usually seems like an intrinsic part of my DNA evaporates completely as I keep dancing, suddenly dripping in sweat. A flashbulb goes off, a few more girls jump up on the bar, and when I look around the club, I notice that most of the people are now dancing, even shockingly Daniel and John. The attention seems to be totally off of me and Tube Top, who's now dancing with her original friend again. Jeremy walks up to the bar, snapping his fingers from side to side, looking like he's concentrating really hard on the finger snap. "That kettle one really went to your head, didn't it?" he yells up to me. I look at him as I keep dancing and smile. "Sure did," I yell back.